Hello everyone. So introduction is back again with a new video, and today we are going to discuss NCERT Class 6 Chapter 4. And in this particular video, we are going to discuss the question answers of NCERT Class 6 Chapter 4. And before proceeding ahead, we will be discussing. I will be just giving you a quick recap of this particular chapter, and then we will be proceeding ahead with the Q&A. So this particular chapter is all about discussing about books and the burials we will be discussing later on. So let's talk about the four Vedas. Uh, the very first is the Rig Veda, then Samved, then Yajurved, and then Atharva. And talking about Rig Veda, so Rig Veda is considered to be the oldest Veda and it was composed about 3,500 years ago. And this Veda can have more than 1,000 hymns called sutta or wells. Okay, these hymns are written in praise of gods and goddesses, and three of the most important gods that have been given specially importance are the Agni, the god of fire, Indra, a warrior god, and then Soma. Soma is particularly a plant from which a special drink was prepared. Okay, so most of these hymns were composed, they were being taught and learned by. However, there were few women also who used to compose this. Okay, the Rig Veda is written in old or very Vedic Sanskrit. Today, the Sanskrit that we read is completely different from um, the the Sanskrit that was written in Rig Veda. So Rig Veda was recited and it was heard rather than read. Okay, because it was not written down at that particular time. It was written down several centuries later, and it was first composed and printed less than 200. So, how historians study the Rig Veda? So, in Rig Veda, if you read, some of the hymns are written in a very dialogue form. Okay, so these dialogues, you would see one of the dialogue is between a sage named Vishwamitra, and he was having a conversation with two of the rivers, Beas and Satluj, because these two rivers were worshipped as a god. Okay, so you can get to know about that society from those dialogues of what are all the how the rivers are being personified and how they are being given a very special importance, and because they were also being worshipped as goddesses, and how all things are being included in a dialogue. So you get to know about the life of that thing. Okay, let's talk about cattle, horses, and chariots. So there are many of the prayers in the Rig that are that are written around cattle, children, especially sons and horses. Okay, so from the dialogue you can get to know that horses were used in the battle, and the battles were fought for different reasons. They were fought for land, they were fought for water, and sometimes even to capture the people and the cat. Okay. However, considering this particular time period of Vedic era, especially Rig Veda, there was no, that is early Vedic period. Okay, so there was no regular art as we would see in the later Vedic period. However, there were assemblies, and these assemblies uh, were the site where people used to come and discuss the matters of war and peace. And there were some men who used to take part in wars, and they also used to choose their leader. Okay, and after the battle, the wealth was kept by that leader, and some of the loots were given to the priests, and the rest was distributed among. Okay, so what are the words that has been used in the Rig Veda that describes these? Okay, so there are two groups in which the people are being described in terms of their work. Firstly is the priest. Priests were called as Brahmins because these were the people who used to perform various rituals. Then there were Rajas, okay? And these Rajas, however, did not have the capital cities, they did not have palaces or army, they did not collect tax, and their sons also did not automatically succeeded their father as a Raja. And however, we will see in the later periods that all these things will begin. Okay? People will, the Rajas will have their own capital cities in terms of Mahajanpas. They will have huge palaces. Also, they will have regular armies. They would be collecting taxes, and also there will be the lineage would be hereditary. Okay, and there were two words that were described in the Rig Veda for the common people or the community as a whole. One was Jana and the other was Vish. Okay, so the people who used to compose these hymns were described, they themselves described them to be as Ari. Okay. And whoever was opposite to them or their opponents, they used to describe them as Das or Das. Okay. The term, Das means slave. So who all were included in the category of Dasas? So slaves were women and men. Okay, and these were the men and women who were captured during the times of war. Okay, so they were considered to be Dasas and Dasas. Moving. So let's read about the story of a mega. Megalith, from the word itself, you can understand mega is something big or huge. And let's say stone. Okay, so big stones are known as mega, and these were arranged by people and were used to mark burial sites. Just today, we see in certain communities like in Muslims or in Christianity, we see a tomb or mark. People use that to mark their burial. Okay, so the practice of erecting megaliths actually started around 3,000 years ago, and then it became very prevalent throughout the Deccan, South India, and in the Northeast and Kashmir. So, if you will look at all of these burials have some common features. For example, the dead were buried with their belongings, like distinctive pots, which were called as black and red. So from these burial sites also you can know very much about the social differences that existed in that period. How you can know about? Because the type of the belongings that the common people used to bury along with the burial and the rich people used to bury, it clearly gives us the distinction that have been there in terms of the social differences that existed that in that period of time. Okay, so objects were found with the skeleton, and archaeologists think actually that these objects actually may have belonged to the dead person. So it indicated the status amongst the people who were buried. Because rich people were buried with more gold, beads, stone beads, copper, bangles, where poor people were buried with only a few pots. So can we say that some of the burial spots were meant for only certain families? Okay, so it was there. People belonging to the same families were buried in the same place. Okay, and people used to have stone circles or boulders. They used to place it around as a signpost. Okay, so that they can return to the same place whenever they wanted. And then talking about there is a special burial at Inamgaon. Okay, it is a site on the river Khor, and it is a tributary of the river V. Okay, so how Inamgaon was different because here the adults were buried in the ground. Okay, like the other burials, but there was a special pattern. The special pattern in a way that they were laid out straight with the head facing towards north. Okay, and they also included the belongings like the vessels that probably contained food and water. Okay, that and it was placed along with the dead because people believe that there is an afterlife. All right, moving on. So, what was the occupation at Inamgaon? So, archaeologists have found seeds of wheat, barley, rice, pulses. It all indicates that people have been into agriculture. And it has also been found that there has been cuts in the bones of many animals that shows that people were hunting animals back then. And there were certain fruits like bur, amla, jamun, dates, and variety of berries were also used. People were also gatherers. So from this, we can identify and we can decode certain things about the people who are there at the time. Okay. So is it clear? Now, are you ready to discuss the question answers? Let's get started. So the very first question is we have to match the form. The suktas, stone boulders, chariot, sacrifice, yajna, well said, dasa used in battles, megalith, slaves. So the answer is sukta. We know the hymns were written and they were called as sukta, meaning well said. Then the chariots, we just read that these were used in the battle. Horses were used in the battle. And then yajna was being performed by the Brahmins in the forms of these sacrifices. And dasas were the slaves who were being captured in the war. And then the megaliths were the huge or big stone walls. All right, clear? Moving ahead. So the next question is slaves were used for dash. Megaliths are found in dash. Stone circles or boulders on the surface were used to. Port holes were used for people at Inamgaon A. So the answer is manual work. So dasas were used for manual work, and the megaliths are found in the burial site. Then the stone circles or boulders on the surface were used to what? To serve as a signpost so that people can return back whenever they wanted. Then holes were used for the entrance work. Okay. And the people at Inamgaon ate brave fruits meat. Okay. That indicated that they were back then performing agriculture, they were hunters, they were gatherers. The next question is in what ways are the books we read today different from Rig? So Rigveda was composed in a very ancient form of Sanskrit. And today the kind of Sanskrit that we read or we write is completely different. And most of the modern books today are written in English or in some modern language. And Rigveda was written around they the hymns were being composed in praise of gods and gods. And today the modern books can be written on any topic. And Rigveda was initially not written, and these were written very later on. And today, however, modern books are in written form. Okay, so these are the differences if we compare the Rigveda and the modern. Moving on. Question number 4 is what kind of evidence from burials do archaeologists use to find out whether there were social differences among those who were buried? So obviously there were variety of belongings we can see with the dead person, which gives a kind of a clue to us that there was a hierarchy or differences in the social status of the dead person. Because the rich people were buried with more gold, street stones, okay, and the poor people were just buried with their pot, red and black. Okay. Question number 5 is in what ways do you think that the life of a Raja was different from a Das or Das? So Raja was an independent person. However, a slave was not because they were being captured in the war. And Raja, they commanded respect because they were in a powerful position. However, a slave was a subject of ridicule and they were pity and they were considered to be a lesser of a human being in most of the cases. Okay. So that was the difference between them. Moving on. Find out whether your school library has a collection of books on religion and list the names of 5 books from this collection. Okay, so the collection of books on basically on religion. We know about Mahabharata, the famous epic, then Ramayana, then Bible, then Bhagavad Gita, part of Mahabharata, then the Quran. So these are the books, collection of books that are there that are based on religion. Okay, moving ahead. Question number 7. Write down a short poem or song that you have memorized. Did you hear or read the poem or song? How did you learn it? Okay. So you just you have to do it yourself. Okay. Just do it. Moving ahead, that's it. The other questions were just meant to be done by yourself. And thank you so much for patiently listening to me. If you like the video, like it, give it a thumbs up, share it, and do not forget to subscribe. Thank you.